One was in it for the money, and the other just wanted a young, hot wife. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mind and More, where we talk about anything that comes to mind and more. Valentine's Day is coming up soon, so let's get into the spirit of love by discussing which is the best couple in Modern Family. I'll be discussing the three main couples, so that's Jay and Gloria, Mitch and Cam, and Phil and Claire. Even though they can sometimes have their issues like any couple out there, they're all incredibly adorable. But only one can be the best, right? So let's see who that is. I'm going to give a brief description for each couple, talk about their best traits and their standout moments for all of the couples before I go into ranking them. Before we get into the main couples, let's give an honorable mention to Dylan and Haley. Those two went through quite the roller coaster of a relationship, being on and off for years. They started out as high school sweethearts and ended up as a married couple. Through their ups and downs, Dylan's love and loyalty to Haley was undeniable. We saw Haley date other people, including that older guy and also Andy, who I would say was a close second to Dylan. But nothing else was ever quite right except Dylan. They initially had a lot, and I mean a lot, of growing up to do, but they worked through it. I thought they were very cute and worth mentioning here. First up, we have Cam and Mitch. Cam has this larger-than-life personality. He's confident, caring, sensitive, family-oriented, very social, a little competitive, and he gets a little wild sometimes. For example, his alter ego is a clown named Fizbo. He loves football, and he's sometimes dramatic. On the other end, in what seems like a total opposite of Cam, Mitch is more reserved, uptight, cares for his family, non-confrontational, organized, and doesn't understand sports from what I've seen. These two are different, but they have enough in common to make the partnership work. They have some similar interests, and they also have shared friends. So the best trait I think they have is that they balance each other out. Mitch would rein in Cam when he gets a little too wild, while Cam helped Mitch loosen up. A standout moment from them was when Mitch got laid off work, but couldn't tell Cam about it because he didn't want Cam worrying. So instead, for a few weeks after he got laid off, he'll pretend he was going to work, but he'll instead sit at a park. So while in this park, he started making friends. He'd play chess and checkers with people he'd met in the park. And one of these guys he'd met in the park started texting him. So Cam thought that Mitch was cheating because of the text he was getting from this guy from the park. So eventually, Cam confronted Mitch about his cheating, but then Mitch came clean and said that no, he wasn't cheating. This was someone he'd met in the park and actually gotten laid off. So Cam was so relieved that Mitch wasn't cheating that he didn't even care about Mitch having been laid off. I thought this moment was sweet because it showed that they could get through anything together. What was more important to Cam was that their relationship was still intact rather than whether they had money or not, or whether they had jobs or not. And I thought that was such a lovely moment, a simple but lovely moment. And they have many moments like these. I couldn't possibly get through them all. I just wanted to mention my favorite one. So now, moving on to the next couple. Claire and Phil. Claire is uptight like Mitchell because it's a Pritchett thing. She's responsible, hardworking, she says what needs to be said and does what needs to be done. She's a little bossy too, but it's necessary. And then on the other hand, Phil is full of personality, kind of like Cam, but in a different way, but they're both very high energy. He's more carefree, silly, childlike sometimes, but in an endearing way. He's more in touch with his emotions compared to Claire. Their best trait is they are supportive of one another and they have a clear devotion to one another, especially Phil to Claire, both of them, but you especially see it when it comes to Phil. So Phil never stopped seeing her as this hot girl she was in high school who he'd always thought was out of his league. So he was kind of always trying to impress her, and he never got tired of trying to win her dad over, which I thought was so sweet. Their standout moment was when they had that role play hotel date where Phil was this he said his name was Clive Bixby and he was wearing this navy turtleneck, and he said he was in town for a trade show and he designs high-end electroacoustic transducers. And then Claire responded with, "Wow, that is very specific." But it was such a funny moment, and it was so cute that they were trying to keep the spark alive. I think that probably goes a long way in a marriage, to just keep things fresh and exciting. Phil and Claire have also raised 3 lovely kids. Well, they're mostly lovely. So I think they've done a great job and they're a cool couple. Let's move on to our third couple, Jay and Gloria. So I don't need to say it again. I already said the Pritchett's are uptight. So Jay is uptight too. He's traditional, he's principled, he's loving, but he struggles to show it sometimes. On the other hand, Gloria is feisty, bold. She doesn't take crap from anyone. She's also very loving and fiercely protective. So Jay and Gloria have this big age gap. At first glance, it seems as though one was in it for the money and the other just wanted a young hot wife. Excuse me, editing minded more here. So I have to admit that at first I didn't like Jay and Gloria, simply because of their age gap. And I know it's not right to dismiss a couple over something like that, but I also know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one who was like, oh, this couple again, as soon as they came onto the screen for the first few episodes of season 1. But with time, they did prove that they're actually one of the healthiest couples on that show. And one of the healthier couples on TV, actually. So I do take that opinion back. But on closer inspection, you can see that couldn't be further from the truth. The love between them is so genuine. They have shared family values and are willing to accommodate one another's families, which is so important, especially in a blended and intercultural family like theirs. To me, I think their best quality is compromise. They knew when to let the other have their way. When it comes to the standout moment for Jay and Gloria, it's not going to be a moment between Jay and Gloria, but it's going to be a moment between Jay and Manny, who's Gloria's son. So Manny is Gloria's son before she met Jay, right? So the reason why I think this also counts as being something good that happened between the couple is because when you date someone with your child who already has a child, they're a package. You have to be able to see them like your own child, right? So there's this moment where Manny was supposed to spend the day with his biological father, but his dad didn't pitch. So instead of throwing the biological dad under the bus, what Jay did was protect Manny's feelings. So he hired a limo and took Manny to Disneyland and pretended that Manny's biological dad had done this so that Manny wouldn't know that his dad was a deadbeat, basically. And I thought this moment was so sweet. Jay protected Manny's feelings. He really cared that Manny didn't get hurt, that his father didn't show up, and he didn't even take credit for that. And that's not just a testament to how much he cared for Manny, but also how much he loves Gloria, because in the end he was doing all of this for Gloria's son, and Gloria loves her son. So if you love her son, you're kind of showing that you love her too. We've described these couples and said all of the good things about them. Let's now get into the ranking and explaining why number 2 and number 3 didn't make it to the top position. In third place, we have Phil and Claire. So, why didn't they win? At times, the dynamic between Phil and Claire was mother-son-ish, with Phil sometimes leaving too much of the burden on Claire's shoulders. It was great that he was fun, that he was the fun parent, but he could have been more responsible to make things easier for her. Claire could have also had more moments of loosening up and trying to understand Phil's hobbies. So they could have used a bit more balance, and for that's why they come in third place. Coming in second is Jay and Gloria. So I love these two. Why didn't they win? Okay, so although I give props to Jay for taking Manny as his own, like that limo episode I mentioned, sometimes Jay didn't put enough effort into understanding Gloria's culture. But I can sort of see why. I can sort of understand it. He was a mature man. You can get a bit set in your ways when you're advanced in age. But overall, Jay and Gloria understood each other, and they were genuinely in love and knew how to have a good time together. Now here we are at the top position. Coming in first is the couple of the moment, Mitch and Cam. So why do they win? Mitch and Cam complemented each other so well. One could cover for the other in whichever area they fall short. And I just love how they knew just how to compromise, how to communicate. They could have a rough time communicating sometimes, but they'll figure it out. Despite their relationship being seen as unconventional, they always fought for their love and family and always knew that was the most important thing. Even if they didn't always understand where the other one was coming from, they tried. They always tried. They also had the most fun moments, in my opinion. They had the best banter, and it was always healthy banter. Their love and devotion to one another was always clear, and bonus to them for being very involved parents, especially Cam. So there it is. Mitch and Cam win the title of best couple in Modern Family. What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who's your best couple? Who's your favorite couple? What's your take?